Welcome everyone to this talk on Cupid, an arrow for affinity. I'm very excited and very nervous at the same time. We have Amshu in the call, who's the creator, and why am I there? Well, I'm taking the onus of presenting this topic here. Amshu is too busy talking to machines and binaries that I thought I'll take over and talk to some humans, and that's the reason of me being there. Amshu, maybe you can say a few words about yourself.
Hey, thanks Ashwani for doing this. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm Amshu, and I've been part of the Cardinal team for 3 years now, and Cupid being one of mainly on some of the subcomponents of Cardinal, Cupid being one of them. Thanks, thanks for this presentation.
Cool then. I'm Ashwani. I'll be talking a lot today. I work also in Gartner alongside Vedamshu. I'm in a support function, basically helping colleagues with resources or things that can help them continue working and delivering value both to SAP and to the wider community. Um, Having said that, let's get back to the roots. So before I get into the details of Cupid, I thought let's try to go into a fictitious world and try to see what is the love all about. So let's say that we have this fictitious place where there are farms. People basically grow produce, and they live in these settlements. So there are these three settlements, and basically these guys here are managing the farms, and they live in a kingdom. We have a king and a queen, and everything is running smooth. For doing the farming, they have some tools which are provided by the kingdom, and basically the farmers take care, or the peasants take care of getting the the yearly produce, which then the kingdom can tax and survive. So this is all going smooth, and then the king also has three daughters, the princesses. They're all millennials, and they just don't like this old system. And they felt, why should the farmers really care about the tractor or the resources? Shouldn't they be concentrating on the farming? And so they came up with this brilliant idea of why not we watch out for them? So the idea was that they will install cameras and lights to observe what's happening, not just in the settlement, but also in the farms. This is just used to observe. If something goes wrong, they know that they can act on it. And they were so in love with the whole thing that you know they also created their own settlements right there with the farmers. And this is all poor guy meets rich girl story. And being so stubborn, they just decided that they will live there and not in the castle. Though the king and the queen were not happy that this is happening, but yeah, they couldn't do much because yeah, millennials, generation gap, whatnot. So this was running fine. So what does it mean now with this whole setup? So what it means is, let's say there is a tractor and this is a resource and it dies because of malfunctioning or something. It will be brought back, and the farmer really didn't care who did it because it was washed and it was recovered. And this was not just with the farms; it's also with the settlement. Let's say an earthquake strikes and the huts go bad. These are also brought back. All good. So now the farmers had to pay some additional tax for having these lights on. So you have these lamps and cameras. So someone has to pay. So they were happy with it because their yield could increase and they were really happy doing what they like doing rather than figuring out a mechanic to fix the problem they have and have a day out of no work. Then yeah, the day ends. Nobody is farming, and the farmers were very ingenious and they said, why should I even pay for this? And they decided to switch it off. So the farms had the lights gone, and anyway, nobody was required. But these guys here, they were not off. And they were like, why are they not off? Because these ladies here are there and they need protections, and the princesses can't be just left in the dark. And when the day came, the lights were back. And the king and the queen were really pissed, like because the bills were coming and they told them to stay in the castle, but no, the princesses were really incurring the bills for the rights kept to keep them safe. And they were started thinking, what should we do? There has to be some way to change this love story. And so they came up with this brilliant idea of having an outpost. So the norm was that they could bring something closer to the farms, to the farmers, to the settlements, and still be able to save some money. Now, this settlement has its own lights and cameras, so there is security in place. And if that is there, then you really don't need the huts for the princesses, and they could move in here. Now, when the night comes, things go down as expected, and everything is really shut down, and we're really saving no bills on electricity. The day comes, and we are back to business. So, yep. So, not sure if it made sense or if it was what I suppose it to be, but let's get to reality. Just keep the story in mind, and maybe somewhere you will try to fix it to or map it to what we are going to see today. So, what's Cupid? Cupid basically injects scheduling criteria into target bots orthogonally by policy definitions. Yeah, this is quite geeky. Let's break it down. So it declares and manages different forms of bot scheduling criteria. Then someone might say that, this exists. So what's so great? Why do you need this additional overhead? Yeah, this definitely exists. But then you can dynamically inject these policies post the creation of the pods and not just at the time of the spec creation. And then what if you have declared already? Well, we do honor them. If you have declared a policy, it will be there for us to honor. And yeah, you can even choose, be selective where you want to apply them, on what you want to apply them for. In the crux, basically, it's a separation of concerns principle where we try to ensure that the workload deployment has nothing to do with the way it's being managed by the controllers. So controllers take care of what they are good at, and if the cluster admins thinks that things have changed, their landscape is changing, they want to do something very creative, they can do that without really going back to the definitions. Yep. So I'm nervous because I'm trying to make it look what is really working without getting skin into the game. So whatever you see today is all what Anshu has done. So I'm just being the voice here. So I hope that I can do justice to that. So let's get into a demo. So let's first get into Kupid. So if you're here the first time, you haven't heard of Kupid, you don't know what is Kupid, where it is. So it's there in one of the Gardner repos. You can just clone it. So here what you see is my local client cluster. It has two worker nodes, one control plane, and I have this Kupid installed. And well, I've not got the Kupid installed, but all you need to install Kupid is just say make deploy, and yep, there it goes. There you see the Kupid is there, and hopefully it will be running in some time. Let's see what all is available. So there are some samples available for you to check. So Kupid comes with two kinds of policy definition. One is cluster based and another is namespace specific. So I'll not go into each one of them because by name, they're not doing anything different. So let's just pick for the sake of time, one pod scheduling policy, and let's see what is happening. So let's see what's running in this cluster first. So yeah, so we have this Nginx deployment, and yeah, so basically there's an Nginx deployment working on two workers, and there's also a Kupid deployment now. So you will see Kupid is here, Nginx is here, and let's do separation of concerns, and let's say everything which is in the default namespace for Nginx works in one place. So let's move everything to worker instead of worker two. So I just define a spec policy, a pod scheduling policy, which says match the label Nginx and move it to local worker instead of local worker two. What should happen is if I apply this, so policies happen, nothing happens. Why? Because someone has to trigger something. So let me try to play with the deployment, and what you will see now is, yep, everything is moving to worker. And you will have all these Nginx deployments now in Worker. This is enough for you to start with a Kupid and play with it and figure out what kind of fun you can have with it. Having done this, let's just delete this guy and move on. So, yep, next thing I want to show today is how Gartner is using it, because that's when it becomes really interesting. To show the demo with the local setup is always easy, but let's also get our hands a little more dirty and see how Gartner is using it. Before I move on, let me set the context here. Let me bring things to the place. So I have a seed cluster. This is my seed cluster running in GCP, basically shoot, which I'm using it as a seed. How do you know it's a seed cluster? Well, this is what it is running here. This is my demo Kupid GCP, running in the Kupid project, and it has a shoot cluster also running. So for the purpose of today's demo, I would like you to concentrate on these 4 quadrants. First, name it. This is the quadrant. The left pane is about seed and shoot clusters. The right pane, this side is my garden cluster, and the bottom is my free space or a mind space where I'll try to play with all the 3 quadrants and try to do some changes and see how the system behaves. So let's start with this first. Let's change the context. So I'm in Gardener context, and let me start what's running in my Gardener. So there is this shoot running, and there is this seed. I hope the font is okay. If not, this should be okay. So this is a seed, which is my local seed, which is running on this cluster here. And for the sake of fastness, everything is aliases. So aliased, so garden get target. So I'm in my local, and I see this the same seed which you see on the right second quadrant. And let's get garden on. So I'm in the shoot, this shoot which is running there. And let's target the local seed, local shoot, sorry. While this is happening, let's see what exactly is defined for Gardener in the Kupid deployment. So what you see on the rightmost side is basically a policy definition defined, which says get a node label, which should be having a pool worker and marked it for HCD. Do we have such a pool? No, we don't. So let's just go and create quickly one pool, worker pool for that. And that should be good enough for us to, where are my workers? Here it is. I'll try to be fast and still slow enough. So, yep. But what we have to give to it, right? So it says you should have it with this label. So yeah, let's add a label to this guy. And it also says that it tolerates a taint for same label. So let's also add a taint for this. This should, what did I do wrong? Okay, let me not have it for something I've done wrong.
You need an array symbol for the taints.
Sorry. I'm bad. Sorry. Thanks, Amshu. So yeah, this will do some reconciling, which we can see here. So before it goes here, let's see what's running here. So we have 4 nodes, all are common. There is no HCD worker node here. And if you see the shoot namespace, everything is running fine. And so is running fine in my seed is running fine, and my shoot is running fine. Everything is fine. let's go back and see what all are installed here. So these are the controllers installed. On the right-hand side in my local Gardener, I will see what all registrations I have. So I see I don't have Kupid. And before I can do that, let me also see what else is required. So there is a seed label which is required for it to work. So we will also add a label to the seed and install Kupid while the nodes are getting up. So see the node is coming up. I'm slow, node is fast. Let's go to the seed, edit it. Okay, cool. I did something wrong. I did something. Sorry. Edit it. Yep, so seed is there. Now let's get this guy while this is getting installed and reconciled. Yeah, let's get the Kupid installed here because there's no Kupid there. So kubectl apply file, kupid.yaml. And if you see the controller installation registration, you will see a Kupid here, and you will also see a Kupid namespace here. So Kupid is installed. This will lead to a seed getting reconciled because we have added a controller. But basically, I didn't want to just show the last thing and show the whole cycle of how things were going. So this is what would happen behind the scenes. What I'm doing manually is fully automated and things will just move and nothing is being touched about by the shoot or the seed cluster as such. Let's see, our node is ready. So in this node, ideally there will be 6 pods, which are default pods for any node which is being created. And this is where we should see things moving and moving alongside. So you see already something is moving, but before I go there, let's see what has Kupid done. So there are cluster pod scheduling policies. So there are 3 of them. So I just showed you one, but yeah, you saw the YAML. There are 3. One is for HCD, one is for FluentBit, one is for Gardner Loki. I'll not go too deep, but just to see that what is there is the same thing. It has a pod selector for HCD and a toleration for the node. And ideally, this is what should happen. So if you see the shoot, nothing would have happened yet. So the control plane of the shoot, when I say shoot, sorry, shoot is the third block, second block is the seed or the control plane of the shoot. There's nothing happening and everything is running on common worker because we didn't really do anything with the shoot yet. So let's touch the shoot as well. So I'll go down and play with just touch this guy and let's start reconciliation. And if you see what is happening, there is an HCD worker now getting created. And so the thing will move from common to HCD and the common guy is getting killed. Of course, now you will really feel a little jittery that, this is a downtime because things will go bad. You have killed the HCD. So yeah, what we do is we ensure that this is being run only in the shoot maintenance window and not just like whenever we feel like. In this case, there is no maintenance. It's all my will and fancy. So I just decide to kill it and loop it. But if you see overall, everything will come back. Let's see what is all there in this node. So ideally, it should have 9 now. So it's creating fluent bit pod, Loki pod, and HCD. These are the three things we had put in the spec. And yeah, you see the Kubernetes shoot cluster just had a small downtime, but it'll come back. So I think this is enough to prove that it is working. And I'll open it up for Amshu to add if I missed something, and anyone else who has questions or has got them scratching their head, and feel free to ask. I hope I'm in time. I don't know. I didn't time it.
Thank you. Yes, you're doing great on time. And I also enabled unmuting for everyone.
Thanks, Ashwani, for the presentation.
Works.
Better.
Okay, I have a question if no one else has one. So it seems like Kupid is doing a lot of policy enforcement, which could also be done leveraging other open source projects, like, for example, Open Policy Agent. So I would be interested in how the two projects compare and what makes Kupid a more suitable fit for usage with Gardener.
I mean, OPA is something that I had evaluated before starting with Kupid. And apart from a couple of other things, just felt that targeted need for making scheduling decisions orthogonal via policy was still worth it. OPA, of course, is a much more powerful and more general purpose solution for policy enforcement. But in this case, this was a very targeted use case. Especially the scheduling decisions, I have feeling that we will have to revisit in Gardner more and more, and it makes sense to take Gardner as such code out of those decisions because different landscape will require different kind of decision scheduling decisions. So I thought a very targeted tool for that purpose is what purpose was still worth it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question? Nope. Cool, then I'll just continue. I'll just to the end of it. So yeah, so what exactly is inspiring us to do this? Of course, one is solving the need, but also the stars in the, if your answer was sky, no, it's not the sky. So yeah, so the task is what you saw. If it makes sense, use it, abuse it, reuse it, and if you still continue to use it, do contribute back either by liking it or by having PRs for scenarios which may really benefit the community and us as well. And with this, yeah, if this is the first time we are available everywhere where everyone is, and I mean, I'm not going to click those, but you can use your barcode scanner and click this, scan this, and cool. That's all I had. Got in time.